MacVoices is sponsored by Smile and PDF Pen 9, the best way to do more with your PDF documents, including optical character recognition, search and replace, secure redacting, highlighting features, and much more. Get all the details and download a free trial at smilesoftware.com. Hi, I'm Chuck Joyner. MacVoices is in San Jose for AltConf and WWDC. This is Brian of MacStadium. We're going to get him to tell you what MacStadium is and what it does. But first, Brian, you're not a first-timer to MacVoices.
No, first time on video. I interviewed with you about 10 years ago, and for a website I ran at the time. Sold it since then, but here we are again.
Well, that's not a bad thing. So just keep turning over companies, and we'll just keep doing interviews.
Okay, that's good, as long as I stay interesting, I guess.
So what is MacStadium?
So about 10 years ago, after I sold that website, we started up Mac Mini Colo, which is where people would send in a Mac Mini, we would colo it in a data center, and then use it, for whatever they want. And it was, redundant power, redundant internet speeds, and people would use it for all sorts of things. And after about 10 years of running it, I heard from MacStadium, and Greg, the CEO, called me up and he said, "Hey, you've got the small market cornered. We're capable to take on the big jobs." And so about this time last year, we merged together. And now we have data centers in Vegas, Atlanta, Dublin. We're looking at Singapore by the end of the year. And basically, we just host Macs in a data center.
So to be clear, you host the actual machine in the data center?
Yeah. The Mac. The way that Apple works with their EULA, you have to run iOS and macOS on a Mac, right? And so there's nowhere else in the world that you can host them. So people will go to somewhere like AWS and do all their Android development and all their hosting and everything. But if they want to do CI testing on iOS or macOS, it has to be ran on a Mac. Nobody hosts them like we do, and so we got 15,000 Macs in all the different data centers, and basically we fill in that hole. So big companies will put in 100 or 1,000 Mac Minis and run all their iOS testing on those machines. And the way that the EULA works is the person that's using it has to control the machine. So we do one machine per person, and you have access to the whole thing. You have root access, use it however you want, and we either colo or rent it on a monthly basis.
So we're talking, let me start over. Are you primarily a host for developers, or if I decide that I want to host my website on my own machine with you, is that possible?
Yeah, that's possible too. When I was doing Mac Mini Colo, we had a lot of small developers or small businesses that just wanted to run their own mail server or file storage that wasn't on somebody else's servers like Dropbox or something. But now that we've been with MacStadium, iOS development is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and there's nowhere to do this, so we've kind of turned towards that. We take on anywhere from single developers to the biggest companies in the world. Microsoft's one of our biggest customers, and we'll take anything of any size. What we find is these big companies have all the money in the world, but their data center people don't know how to work with Macs. And so they'll call us and they'll say, "We wanted 50 Macs to test on, but our guys say we have to order 1,000 at a time, and it takes 6 months, and we have to find a closet to stick them in." And they call us and we say, "You need 500 tomorrow, we'll have them in and you can get started." And so anywhere from a small customer to a huge iOS developers that need to test all their apps, take them all.
That sounds good. That sounds good. So what is your pricing model? How does this work? As far as, who buys the Mac? Do you buy the Mac? Do I buy the Mac from you?
Yeah.
And on and on.
So Mac Mini or a Mac Pro, anybody can send them in. We'll colo them. It's $35 a month. We'll give them gigabit speeds and everything. Most people though will rent. Changes it to an operating expense rather than a capital expense. That's good for most companies. And so with that, we have a single Mac Mini starting at $60 per month. That's the hosting and the Mini and everything. Or we can put 100 Mac Pros in, which is not $60 a month, but 100 Mac Pros, and we'll do a full cloud. Our cloud product starts at $500 per month, and that includes the Mac Pro and the Mac, the firewall, some SAN storage, usually SSD, flash based. So starting about $500 a month, you can get an actual cloud where you can spin up VMs using VMware, build a VM, test your app, destroy the VM, do it 1,000 times a day. The one big difference, and this was the interesting thing that we found, was we do flat rate billing, and a Mac can run Windows, it can run Linux, and it can run Mac OS. And so what we found was people would have some builds at AWS, and some with us, and then they realized they could start doing their Android builds on a Mac also, and their Windows builds, and not have that bill go up and down each month because it's flat rate. And so we start with the Mac, and then as they want to bring more people over or more business over, they can throw them on the same Macs, run them all there, and they know exactly how much they're spending each month. So that turned out to be a benefit that we kind of weren't expecting, but it turns out people like to know how much their bills are going to be each month. So.
Yeah, strange. Imagine that.
Yeah.
So it sounds like this is pretty affordable if you have this particular need, and then the ability to run virtual machines and all those operating systems makes it even more affordable.
Yeah, that's right. And we try to, there's a lot of good money obviously in the big accounts, and the big companies come in and just want to fill a data center with us, but we're very careful to never get away from the single developer. Not only does that lead to bigger business later on, but I just think it's the heart of what we do. It's people need a Mac in the cloud, and they can find it with us. We find that a lot of people that are going iPad only and not having a laptop or a desktop, they like to have a Mac in a cloud somewhere running scripts or taking mail and sending it, or filtering spam out of their box or whatever, just a Mac that's always on doing things. Then they can work from an iPad and not feel like they're leaving anything behind. So we try to cover all the bases.
Where do we send folks to learn more and maybe host something with you of their very own?
Oh yeah, so MacStadium.com is the site, and all the pricing is on there. A lot of times when you colo or host, you have to write in for quotes and go back and forth, but we have it all on there. And what we did was we tried to make Mac infrastructure act the same as software as a service, because people are used to putting in their credit card and getting something right away, that's working. It's a little more difficult with a Mac because everybody needs to have their own Mac that to work on. So we're not just giving instances away; we give actual full Macs away. So we have dozens and dozens staged at all times, and that way when they sign up, you get a Mac right away. You can log in 10 seconds later. So it feels like software as a service, even though we strictly keep the Apple EULA and make it one customer per machine. So MacStadium.com, you can sign up for the cloud there, or for Colo, or for Mac Mini, Mac Pro, whatever you need.
Great. Well, you're always welcome whenever the next company comes along. It sounds like this was going to be for a while.
It might be for a while, but we'll see what happens next.
Sounds good. Good to see you.
Thanks, Chuck.
Folks, we'll have more from AltConf and WWDC in San Jose. I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes, links to subscribe, and to connect with Chuck on Twitter, Google+, Facebook, YouTube, Vimeo, SoundCloud, the MacVoices blog, the MacVoices Dispatch, our weekly newsletter, and on MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard that helps you do more with your Apple tech. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.